What are your other memories? Like if you had to think of two other ones from the service, and was it hard to leave? I know you went back, but to leave, before you went back.
Um, I remember, so we were in Iraq and we were after this guy named Zarqawi, who, like in the world, bin Laden was the leader of the Taliban, number one. Zarqawi was the leader of the Al Qaeda in Iraq. This is pre ISIS. And he was number two most wanted guy on the planet. Um, and we were as part of this task force that was made up of some of the most elite units on the planet. And that night, we had pretty good information that he or some of his associates were going to be at these series of houses. So we, set up this big target map of this unit's taking this house, this unit's taking this house. And I was like so excited. Like, this is going to be a helicopter assault force, your feet dangling off the side of a Black Hawk with your rifle as you fly in and flare up, brown out, night vision, speckles of machine gun fire. I've already done a few at this point. And then 160th SOAR, the Special Operations Aviation, they're like, hey, we lost one of our birds. It had some bullet holes and we couldn't fix them. So we have to shuffle our load plan. Well, I was the least experienced guy. And, like even the night before we had this awesome mission, I thought I was such a badass. I'm still in the point where I hadn't realized yet that it wasn't about me. And my team sergeant says, hey, you're going to stay back. You're going to be part of the QRF. Like a good soldier would have been like, dude, awesome. Okay. I'm going to make sure every single weapon has the right fill in the radios, or every single truck has the right fills in the radios. Every single machine gun has been headspaced and timing and loaded. I'm going to make sure like we got extra ammo and extra grenades and extra water and extra food. Like I'm going to have like all these redundancies, all the, everything. That's what a good one would have done, but instead it's like, oh, come on, John. Like, I'm the fastest, I'm the strongest, I'm the best shooter on the team. Like, look how I did the other night. I'm like superstar Tim Kennedy. Like, you need me on this mission. He's like, do you not just hear what I said? I said, go to the trucks and prep for QRF. I was like, all right, whatever. You'll regret this. You'll wish I was there. He's like, we'll talk about this later. So we come back and thank God nothing happened that night, because I just sat there pouting on my truck. I took care of my gun, but I didn't help anybody else with anything else. The team comes back from the helicopter assault force mission, and the team sergeant's like, hey, go get your gloves and meet me down in the training tent. So it's like, oh yeah. I've already been a professional fighter. I came into the military ranked top 10 in the world. So I was like, I'm going to scuff my boss up, and he's never going to forget who is the biggest, baddest dude on this team. And I walk in, and the whole entire team is there, all 12 of them, and all 12 of them have their gloves. So, I fight my senior, the 18 Bravo, Ben Rios, and I beat him up. And then I fight Carlos Ruiz, and I beat him up. And I fight Dave Fredericks, and I beat him up. And I fight Ricky Blevins, and I beat him up. Then I get to Shane and Mario. I beat up Mario pretty easy. Then I get to Shane. Shane was a golden glove boxer. I've already fought now 6 Green Berets. And Shane started laying it on me a little bit. I finally put him down. Then I go on and fight the captain. And he boxed, and he put it to me a little bit, but I still felt pretty good. I still have 4 guys to go. And those next 4 guys not beat me to an inch of my life, but they beat the living crap out of me. And not a single word was said. There wasn't like, the whole thing was, you are only as good as your team. That nobody said it, but that's what it was. Like you are part of the 12 of us, and you could be on this side a bloody mess, or you could be on our side and part of this cohesive team that can together cannot be defeated. And I'm sitting there. Thank God I didn't lose any teeth. And I remember like there's blood coming out of both of my nose and my mouth. And I spit my mouthpiece out on the dirt ground, and it's covered in blood. And John gets down, and he's like, I just don't want to have to talk about this again. It's one team. And he stands up and walks out. And it was humiliating. It was like, I was just humiliated in front of everybody at the moment. Like, they all knew that this was a lesson I had to learn, and they weren't ashamed for me. Like, they knew that this was the process, but me still, as a selfish little prick, I was just embarrassed. I was like, I could have beat the 12 of them. And, I was so obviously dumb to not be able to figure it out yet. But that was a lesson I wish I would have learned a little bit earlier, and probably have learned about 10 times since.
Did you learn it that day or not?
Not well enough.
Okay. That's a lot of love to do that for you that night, right? I mean, is that what that is from those guys? That is, right?
Exactly what that is. I mean, in today's standards, that's a horrific moment of hazing, right? Like,
I know.
Like, every single one of those people should be fired. I was like, no, that was pure, unadulterated love that they are pouring into me every single time that they hit me. And, maybe saved my life. 2 years later in Afghanistan, maybe one of those punches was the punch that saved my life.
So when you look at the world today, where those guys could have been sanctioned if there was video footage of that and fired, what do you think? What's happening to our world?
I think hard times are going to make hard men. Right now, we have weak men and women that are looking at the impending hard times, and they don't know what to do. And they're going to realize that hard people are valuable, and that and there's a difference between tough and hard. An abusive father is an abusive father. Like, my dad never laid a hand on me in anger. My grandpa, my uncles never did, right? Like, they disciplined me. Like, my team, they never hit me out of anger or hate or toughness. Like, they hurt me out of love. And that sounds crazy, counterintuitive, but like, it's the truth. So as I look out at the landscape in the future, yeah, I'm worried. Like, people throw hate at, Gen Zs and millennials. But they're the smartest generation of people that we have ever had. And they can process information faster than anyone has ever been able to process things. And they can do things more effectively and efficiently than I think we have ever been able to do anything. But they're going to have to learn what work looks like. And when those two, think about how beautiful, Brian, how possible, the endless possibilities. Like, we were talking about, in the 60s, in the early 60s, how are we going to get to the moon? Like, we had a computer the size of these gun safes behind me that could do half of what one of our phones can do now. And now these kids know how to build them and operate them. There is a component missing, but when those two things come together, like that hard work, that initiative and intelligence, like Mars is going to be easy. Like, it's not going to take Elon Musk to get there. It's going to be a bunch of Generation Z and millennials being like, hey, they're going to push up their spectacles. They're going to get up early. They're going to figure out they're going to have to pour themselves a second cup of coffee, and they're going to stay up late to figure out how to do something, but they're going to figure it out.
When's that going to happen?
God, I hope soon. I think we got some pain ahead of us, but some more monuments are going to be torn down, more buildings are going to burn, more people are going to live in fear, and at some point, people are going to wake up and they're going to be like, so we got to come together and struggle together to be able to accomplish these things. Like, anybody can be defeated when they're divided. Like, if you look at that Special Forces ODA, I got 8 dudes deep before they started beating the brakes off me. Imagine if there was only 6 of them. Well, if we just cut them in half, like, Democrats on one side, Republicans on the other, or like millennials and boomers, or like Gen Zs and whatever the division is, or like pro BLM, whatever you can figure out how to divide people, and how easy I could have just smoked those 6 dudes, just beat the brakes off them, right? But like, together, like, I didn't stand a chance. That's like, but it has to be this collective understanding of how strong we are together. And that, like, those radical fringes don't help anyone, but this collective power is like insurmountable and undefeatable.